Spill prevention and control includes an appropriate spill response, which will reduce the potential for polluting receiving waters with spilled contaminants. This training session will present the Spill Prevention and Control BMP by showing you how to implement proper storage and cleanup procedures that address minor spills, semi-significant spills, and significant hazardous spills. Spill prevention and control must be implemented at all construction sites where chemicals or hazardous substances such as soil stabilizers and binders, dust palliatives, herbicides, growth inhibitors, fertilizers, de-icing products, fuels, lubricants, paints, solvents, and other distillates are stored or used. This BMP applies only to spills caused by the contractor. The procedures and practices presented in this BMP are general and not material specific. Therefore, it is the contractor's responsibility to identify the appropriate practices for the specific materials used or stored on the construction site. Being prepared for spills and properly educating employees on identifying and responding to spills according to the spill type is crucial to the proper implementation of this BMP. Education and awareness measures include clearly label spill kits and use absorbent containers and place them in designated locations on site. Educate employees and contractors with regard to the definitions of minor, semi-significant, and significant spills for each material they use, as well as the appropriate response for each spill type of that material. Educate employees and contractors with regard to the potential dangers to humans and the environment that can result from spills and leaks. During regular safety meetings, discuss and reinforce appropriate disposal procedures for materials used and stored on site. Establish a continuing education program to inform new employees. It is the contractor's water pollution control manager's responsibility to oversee and enforce proper spill prevention and control measures. A minor spill typically involves a small quantity of a contaminant, such as oil, gas, or paint, that can be controlled by the first responder upon discovery of the spill. To control a minor spill, use the following procedures. Promptly contain the spread of the spill. Recover the spilled material. Clean the contaminated area by using absorbent materials to soak up the spill rather than hosing it down or burying it. If water must be used for cleanup and decontamination purposes, make sure that the contaminated water is not allowed to enter storm drains or watercourses and is collected and disposed of in accordance with the Liquid Waste Management BMP. Properly and promptly dispose of the used absorbent. A semi-significant spill typically can be controlled by the first responder with the aid of other personnel, such as laborers and the foreman. Cleanup of a semi-significant spill may require stopping all other activities until the spill is controlled. When a semi-significant spill occurs, use the following procedures. Immediately contain, clean up, and remove semi-significant spills and used absorbent material. Notify the project foreman immediately. The project foreman will then notify the resident engineer. Promptly contain the spread of the spill. If the spill occurs on a paved or impermeable surface, contain it by using a dry method, such as surrounding the spill with absorbent material like cat litter or rags. If water must be used for cleanup and decontamination purposes, make sure that the contaminated water is not allowed to enter storm drains or watercourses, and that it is collected and disposed of in accordance with the Liquid Waste Management BMP. If the spill occurs in an unpaved area, contain the spill by immediately constructing an earthen dike. Then dig up the contaminated soil and dispose of it properly. If the spill occurs while it is raining, and as long as it does not compromise cleanup activities, Immediately cover the spill with a tarp or other material to prevent contaminating stormwater runoff. As with any other type of spill, be sure to dispose of cleanup and contaminated material promptly and properly. Ensure and document that contractors and subcontractors are properly trained in spill response procedures. Ensure that spill response equipment is on site and available in areas where there is a potential for spills. A significant spill is a spill that cannot be controlled by personnel in the immediate vicinity. The following steps must be taken if a significant spill occurs. Notify the resident engineer immediately of the incident. The contractor must notify the local emergency responders by calling 911, the appropriate county officials, and the Governor's Office of Emergency Services Warning Center. It is the contractor's responsibility to maintain a list of all emergency phone numbers on site. For spills of federal reportable quantities, in conformance with the requirements in the Code of Federal Regulations, Parts 110, 119, and 302, the contractor must notify the National Response Center at 800-424-8802. Other agencies that may need to be notified of a significant spill include the Fire Department, the Public Works Department, the Coast Guard, the Highway Patrol, the City Police and/or County Sheriff's Department, the Department of Toxic Substances Control, the California Division of Oil and Gas, Cal-OSHA, the Department of Fish and Game, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the Regional Water Quality Control Board. All verbal notifications of the spill must be followed up with a written report. The contractor must obtain the services of a spill contractor or a hazmat team immediately. Construction site personnel are not to attempt cleanup of the spill until qualified assistance has arrived on site and they are instructed how to properly do so. Regular inspection of this BMP must be performed on a routine basis for it to be effective. During inspections, check for the following. Verify that proper storage, cleanup, and spill reporting instructions for hazardous materials stored or used on site are posted at all times in an open, designated, and accessible location on site. Make sure that spill-controlled cleanup materials are located near material storage, unloading, and use areas. This should be verified on a weekly basis. Make sure that the waste storage areas are kept clean, well organized, and equipped with ample cleanup supplies as appropriate for the materials being stored and used on site. Perimeter controls, containment structures, covers, and liners should be inspected for damage and repaired and replaced as needed to maintain their proper functions. And, whenever changes occur in the types of chemicals used or stored on site, make sure that the spill prevention and control plans are updated and appropriate cleanup materials are on hand. If a spill occurs that exceeds the capacity of the spill cleanup materials on site, immediately obtain enough spill cleanup materials to completely clean up the spill. Replace used cleanup materials and store additional materials as necessary. If a spill encroaches onto a roadway, immediately contain it and perform appropriate cleanup. Then obtain additional spill cleanup materials as necessary and replenish used materials for future needs. To learn more about the standards and specifications for this BMP, consult with your project site resident engineer.